Hello, testing one, two, three. For Dan to get in here. Going in a few. Hello, everyone that just joined me. Taking all the finishing touches here. And then we'll be ready to go. Why is this not working? Hmm.
Hello, Mr. Bob.
Hello, Mr. Dan. Trying to get this working and it's not.
How so?
It won't come up on YouTube. We're live, but I can't like get the thumbnail in or anything.
Oh, yeah, it's on YouTube. I'm watching it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, no, I know. Um,
So what's the issue? The
I
thumbnail
can't
won't come up.
like, yeah, when I'm on YouTube Studio, it won't come up. Maybe thumbnails are broken. It doesn't look like any of the thumbnails have been in for the last like four episodes, or did you just not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, those are I put them. I only post them on Twitter
Okay,
or IG.
okay. Hmm.
We shall see. I'm excited. Big week. Big week.
Are you on your? Are you watch? Are you on the Go Get That account on YouTube on your
I'm
phone?
not. I
Weird,
can be. I
weird.
think.
Ah, this is so stupid. Should not be this difficult.
Hmm.
Is this like hidden or something? I don't know.
Bang. Bang.
Do it this way then.
Bang.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Welcome.
I guess this is live, right?
It
It
is.
is, but I can't get this stupid thumbnail to
The
go.
people must see the struggles.
Yes, that we go through day in and day out for
Yes,
contests
exactly. All for Mr. Spieth and his
and his
struggles himself.
Ethian things.
Yes. I'm pumped. I'm disappointed that the course is soft.
Well,
Yes.
what do you expect?
Oh, come on. It's got to be firmer than that.
Oh, you know what's happened to
I mean, look
Monahan.
what they did to to PGA National. Like they
Yeah, that's true. Mr. Monahan.
everything Andy said about when they like watered down, like ruined the whole identity of that tournament. Anyway,
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, I guess the API played easier than normal too, though, slightly. It wasn't
well, I mean, what? But Scotty also won by like a billion.
true. True.
I
But
think
I think
the
the
winning score would
scores,
have like if Scotty take Scotty out and wasn't that much different from last year.
I guess it's fair.
And someone could have gotten it to -10 last year. They just a lot of people choked. I mean, that's
Yeah.
partly why like Kitayama won. Like Rory and Spieth choked.
Yeah, they could have. Spieth got it to 10, right? So,
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's going.
yeah.
We're getting there.
Nacho.
I
Yes.
knew you'd love this time, Lise, because I assume the kiddos are down by now, right?
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's good. It is still daylight over here where I am as the 5 o'clock wake up approaches.
Yeah. Our friend Nacho in the chat is excited to watch a 75 tomorrow morning. Aren't we all?
Great. Great
Aren't
to
we
hear.
all? Nothing like being T112 after Thursday. It's always a
Ooh,
good feeling.
always is. Okay, I think we are good. You want to go get that up on Instagram?
Yes. Give me just a second. Oh, great. Ryan Palmer. Lovely. Okay. Are you getting it up on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay.
Carpet's stuck on a bus.
Yeah,
Yes.
who knows where Jordan's at? A little delayed. But we are getting there. Is that a soon? Do you have the thumbnail?
It's on Twitter. If you can just save it from my Twitter.
True that.
All right, let's do this thing. Ready to go. Hello, Connor Johnson. Great to have you here. Just came in the mail yesterday. Not sure how I feel about the rope hat yet.
Oh,
Not sure.
I didn't notice. It looks
Yeah.
good.
It does. Feels weird. It feels different than a normal hat.
How come?
Uh, it's it's deeper, I feel. The brim is bigger. Uh, the back material is a lot different. This is pretty much the same, but I don't know. Maybe I think it looks good on Spieth, but personally wearing it, we'll have to see how it to see how I grow into it, I guess.
I mean, I like it a lot better than the Under Armour spelled out hats.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually didn't hate the circle like with the UA as long as it's not too frequent. I don't hate
Yeah.
those. But yeah, the logo definitely is better. Um, yeah. Atomic Walnut agrees with me on the hat.
That's a name right there.
Yes. All right. We good to go?
Yes.
All right.
All ready to
Oh,
rumble.
crap. Jordan usually I do not have enough space on my computer. Do you want to record Dan and then email it to him?
Sure. You send me.
And there you go.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome to episode 112. We are live on YouTube, and this will be out later tonight for everyone else. It's a great week. I mean, it just means more. It is the Players Championship, the sixth major, of course, behind um, Ranch, but we are excited, of course, that Jordan Spieth plays notoriously fantastic. So overall, it's a weird week on the PGA Tour. Every year, there's really no. It's course history really does not play much of a factor here, at least not as much as every other course. I'm sure Elyse will dive into that later. We're happy to have her here. Everyone go follow her. Her link's in the description. She's on a heater right now. She's, what is it, 2 or 3 outrights so far this year?
So yeah, like
Two PGA
Neiman
Tour,
and
one live, right?
Neiman Taylor, and then also
Yeah.
back that Taylor up as well with the first round leaders.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah. So some
yeah.
big hits from Elyse already this year. Excited to hear talks, your takes, because usually your mind's pretty made up by Monday or Tuesday, and this week you were really the board was confusing you a bit. So I'm interested to hear why that is, what makes this week so different than every other week on the PGA Tour. But Dan, do you have any opening thoughts?
Yeah. I'm excited to see Gold Boy. He better be back.
I
Old
really
Gold
do
Boy.
hope he's back.
The theme song is electric. I'm excited to listen to that as it comes on the air early tomorrow morning. It's the start of theme song season. We talked about it last year, but March Madness is coming up. The
Mhm.
Players is always fantastic. Augusta's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner.
Big time event. I'm excited to watch some hopefully good golf. Talked about it a little bit if you were here before we started recording, but the course being soft is
Unfortunately.
disappointing.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that shakes out. I know they have the sub air on under the greens, so maybe they can get them firmed up a little bit. Shouldn't be any weather issues either, but should be a fun week and a fun tournament.
Yeah, I agree with you. And by the way, Jordan will be joining us, stuck on the bus, back home from class. So he said he'd be about 15, 20 minutes late. So he'll be joining us shortly. But yeah, I agree. It being soft is very unfortunate because obviously this is a course that honestly I get no enjoyment out of when it plays soft. I just don't think it's that entertaining unless it's playing really firm. Like when this course plays firm, it can be very fun to watch. I mean, 16 and 17 when it plays firm, even 11 as well. Like you can have shots that land within 5 shots of the pin and end up in the water. So especially when that back pin on 17, when you're hitting a wedge that can one hop over, I don't think we're going to see that this week, which is very unfortunate. I think it takes part of the beauty of the tournament out of it because obviously it's just it feels a little I don't really know how to say it, but I mean the PGA Tour is trying to always portray this as their major, right? They're the fifth major, and I mean if you're gonna have a 25 under winner, which I don't think it will be this week, but I mean I think they should have got this course running a bit more than it's rumored to be currently. Uh, so yeah, I find that very unfortunate because this course can play pretty tough. So it is not what we wanted to see coming into this week, and probably does not help Spieth either. So uh, we'll see. At least you what is like how do you think the softness of the course plays towards the fact that, this is obviously a different week every year in terms of betting, but do you think the softness of the course is going to play a big role in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will affect it a bit, but generally, this course you just want to be striking the ball really well. You can't get away with really loose shots because there's so much water on that comes into play
Right.
here. So, yeah, I mean, I do think it will affect some things though, because like the ball won't run out right into the rough as much. So, you could be, I guess maybe it will help like someone slightly less accurate, but also it will also make the ball like not go as far. So, but not that like length really matters on this course anyway. So, I
I
it, yeah, I don't. I think it might affect some things, but I don't think it'll be a huge deal.
I
Fair
think
enough.
Michael Kim on Twitter, worth a follow, by the way, if you don't follow him.
Oh yeah, he
But
definitely is.
he was talking, he gave his kind of course preview, said it was softer than anticipated, but sub air, a lot of sunshine this week. He thinks we could probably, based on my interpretation of what he's saying, is that we could probably see 12 under leading heading into Saturday, and then the winning score kind of finishing around 15, 16. Because I think it'll firm up over the weekend, and if the wind starts to blow, as you mentioned, Elyse, with all the hazard, can certainly bring big numbers into play, and that's kind of part of the defense out here. But
Right.
when it's soft, there's plenty of birdie opportunities.
Yeah.
You put the ball in the fairway. These guys are good from inside of 150. Some of them are, and uh, throw it close, make some putts. I mean, everything's overseeded. It's course is going
Yep.
to be in immaculate shape. It always is. So
Yeah.
Thursday morning is definitely the time to go out and get it. Um, and I think when I was looking at guys this week who could um, really kind of thrust up the leaderboard, so to speak, I think it was that was something that I kept in mind. And it's interesting that Scheffler's in the afternoon wave because it feels like he always gets a good draw, and it might just not matter this week. But I think 14 of the last 16 have won with the AM PM uh, wave. So we'll see if that
Yeah.
trend
Well,
plays this week.
unfortunately, I don't. Well, there was a huge draw difference a few years ago, if I remember correctly. Um,
2022.
22.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, it might not matter if Scotty puts well enough. But
Yeah. It
yeah,
won't matter.
yeah, I don't think there's going to be too much of a wave difference this week. Um,
Same.
so
Last I looked, it was actually there was more wind coming in the afternoon on Friday. Like Thursday looks really benign. Last I checked, and then
of
uh
course,
yeah, it gets windier on Friday afternoon. But that
yeah,
it's
nice,
Florida. Things change quickly, weather-wise.
very
True.
true, very true. Yeah,
I just hope the rain delays stay away.
that would be
And
nice.
there's
Yeah,
not
this is
projected any rain, but um it's just always annoying when there's delays that make
mhm,
Thursday, Friday go not very smoothly. So
right. Yeah, yeah, and
fingers crossed.
yeah, and I am hoping that the rain stays away, just because I feel like we've gotten so much uh bad weather on the PGA Tour this year that it would be nice if we didn't have to deal with that this week, because obviously I think from a weather perspective, as of now, his Jordan's game is best when it's just sunny out. As of now, I'd like the wind to stay down as well, because Spieth is struggling to win recently, as well. So, but we'll see. Again, as Elyse said, Florida weather changes very fast. So, as of now, looking good. Should have zero issues tomorrow morning, which is nice. Especially given now that I'm a West Coaster, I have to be up at such an early hour. So yeah, I'm hoping not to wake up to, out in 37, but we'll see. I don't think that a low front nine is out of the realm by any means. Spieth has put together good golf a lot this year. Problem is he's also put together bad golf this year, and we talked about that last episode about how he's shown top notch in every part of his game this season, but the bad swings can just cost him so much. So we'll see. It'll Guess we're just going to have to see the week play out. I did say I don't have really any expectations coming in here. I'm just going to kind of see how he uses not only that good round on Sunday at Bay Hill and builds it to this week, but also just to see how, last week he played poorly at a course he's historically played well at. Let's see if maybe he can play well and steal some FedEx Cup points at a course that he doesn't usually play well at.
It's well said. And as Jordan joins us, hello, Jordan.
Good evening. Good evening. Hi,
How
Elyse.
was the Loyola bus?
Wonderful. Happy to be here. Talking more important things.
I was just about to explain why I expect Mr. Spieth to triumph this week. Are you ready for this?
I don't think you're gonna be able to convince me, but go ahead.
Yep.
I mean, as Bob mentioned, we've seen plenty of good golf out of Jordan this year. The long irons are much improved. The driver has been pretty good. I think last week we saw a draw off the tee, which was quite nice. I know there were a couple of hooks when he tried to play fades, but I trust that a few days with Cam McCormick and a YouTube video, by the way. If you want to go check that out, it was kind of a fun video.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it tonight. So
YouTube. I think it's right after the Genesis because he was pretty sick. Spieth was, that is. But if you can work it both ways, that another Michael Kim thought is you got to be able to work it both ways, not only into pins but off the tee. I think Spieth giving me confidence that he can hit a draw off the tee. Short game was not great last week. The numbers say it was pretty average, which for him is not very good. I think he'll spend some time working on that, and we've seen that he can bounce back with that. The putter has been better than I guess anticipated, better than it's been in a long time. So hopefully he makes some putts this week, and he typically hits it pretty well around here. So maybe it just all clicks one time, and he is holding the golden child is holding gold boy at the end of the week, and I think that would be poetic.
I think everything you just described would be a nice, like, if all that goes to plan, is a nice, like, T14. I don't really know if all that. I don't think.
Well,
I think he's going to
many bogeys in the bag. That's for sure.
Yeah, and especially with the soft conditions, there are going to be bogeys that Spieth makes on the final 3 holes this week that the rest of the field are not making. So that's what stinks to me the most about the soft conditions, because I think whether it's firm or not, he's going to have a few water balls coming down the stretch. So,
okay. I mean, I guess I could see some spinning of the wedges off the green because why practice?
And it's not only that; it's that his misses are just so much bigger than the tour's average right now. Like, his bad misses are like just so poor that they're going to end up in spots you can't end up at a course like this.
True.
Yeah.
I tried to make my case. I think I obviously need some serious help and some serious improvement inside.
Well, it's a disease. It's a disease, so it's okay.
It is a disease. It is a disease, but I mean, look, there should be some positive regression with the short game, and I
Yes.
think the misses off the tee won't be as bad this week.
And
That's
I
the
think
hope.
we're gonna. I think it's gonna be improved from last week. I do believe that.
And he
What do you what
T19
about
here
the fact
last
that he
year.
says he can't read these greens?
Well,
Well, call in the Alpha Greller, and he can read
yeah.
them.
No, it's
I
well,
like your
maybe
thinking.
I don't know. I mean, in
Ella's
in the
been with him
past
for all those
year,
times as well.
maybe we just need a fan to throw the ball close to the hole instead of knocking it back into the fairway this time. So we'll
Yes.
see.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
nothing quite like using the fans as sort
Well,
of bumper guardrails for your tee balls.
good thing Spieth is a fan favorite. I heard the rough is very long this week, so that's fun.
Find the
Yeah.
fairway.
Yeah.
Which he did a lot last week, in fairness. It's just when he
Yeah.
missed, the misses
Well,
were
yeah, and I don't
catastrophic.
really think that this week the misses are going to be as punished off the tee, but into greens the misses cannot be as big as they were.
For that.
So Jordan, what are your thoughts on the week?
Um, he doesn't strike me after last week as someone who's going to win this week. Um, could he contend and, produce maybe a top 15, top 20, even a top 10? Yeah, I don't see him winning though. I just don't think the sack is where it needs to be. Last week was just really, I didn't see last week coming, and I don't really see how he turns the errors that he had last week into being fixed to where you could win this week. But I think he can play well enough to finish well. I
Yeah.
just don't think, if he is gonna pop and, win, it would be this week. Not just because of the
Yeah.
course, just because like after last week, the errors that I saw were just too catastrophically big to, turn those around in, a week's time frame to win. But yeah, Bob, you kind of said it. There's been a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of would just like to not see 40-yard misses off the tee. Just the little things, not
Yeah, the
missing
little things.
greens with the wedges and the just the little stuff he's got to clean up. But
I I need to share this from Mr. Walnut. He just had a very funny comment that we
Mr.
almost
Walnut.
to the exact word said in the chat. Inevitable that the front pin on 17 with a back spot stop, he lands 2 feet short of the pin and spins it into the water and proceeds to ask Michael why the wind died.
Yeah, issues like that have been,
Yeah.
common the last 6 weeks.
So yeah, we'll see. Uh, I'm hoping. I mean, no water balls on 17 all week would be a triumph, in my
And
opinion.
play smart. Like play
Yeah.
smart. There's a lot of
Yeah,
holes
this
in
course
Sawgrass
is
that are
yeah.
par holes. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
yeah, there are plenty with the how soft it is. There are going to be plenty of birdie opportunities out there. There's no need to be trying to steal birdies at holes where the alternative is having 10 feet for bogey and making big numbers. So I just don't think I think playing smart this week is the only way he contends or gets that top 10, top 15, or even wins.
Yeah.
Agreed. I mean, you can birdie any hole out here. It's not like there's holes that are more birdieable,
Yeah.
birdieable than others, but at the same time, like just because you don't grab one at well, it'll be disappointing if he makes par at 11 tomorrow morning. But just because you don't grab one at 11 doesn't mean you can't go get one at 12 or 13, right? Like it's this kind of
Yeah.
like patience. Certainly that would be nice to see, but
Yeah.
I guess Elyse, like did you I mean obviously you somewhat looked at Spieth this week just because it's addicting, but did you actually like consider at all being serious about
Speed
putting
on the
some
card.
dollars on Spieth?
I did consider it. But I
Why? Because you know I'm right.
no.
I think it's because
Well,
she's got the disease as well.
yeah. I mean, I think he, his driving has been so much improved. I would say from this
Yeah.
season. That's like one of the biggest improvements, and I think that will help a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and his long irons have also improved. He was like I think a couple weeks ago out of the rough, at least he was like first in proximity from over 200 yards out of the rough. So, he all of that and then the way he had been playing the beginning part of the year up until he got sick at the Genesis, everything had looked good. I had been hopeful for API. The API went not as well as I expected it to go. His approach was not sharp enough on that course, and that's a really concern here in my view, and that's ultimately what led me not to put him on. I just don't trust his approach right now.
Fair, very fair. And I know Jackson said in the comments some positivity. Like, this is not a season long negative vibe I'm trying to give. I just don't see him turning around last week in a flip of a switch. And of course, he doesn't play well.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I would be not shocked at all to see him contend at Valspar by any means. I just think that last week he's still kind of in the middle of. It seems that he's still not. He seems that he got to a bad habit in between, like in a break off. Just doesn't seem like he's got it all clicking quite yet. Would not be surprised to see this week be a week where he just sort of where we see him improve throughout the week, and then he ends up playing very well in the first round at the Valspar. And I'd be fine with that. I don't really have any expectations for this week. I'm not going to look at a T35 and be like, we're screwed. I'm not looking at this week for him like that at all.
Who mentioned the negativity? Who was it? What was
So
his name?
Jackson in the chat.
Oh, Jackson. I don't want to be negative, but like I'd put a decent chunk of money that he's gonna just Spieth will make kind of what we've seen until he really proves me wrong. A couple mistakes here and there that are going to cost him a lot of shots and not give him a chance to win. Like, I'm not trying to be negative. That's just what he's doing.
Yeah.
And until he doesn't do that, it's not negativity. It's just who he is. He's what, the 15th best golfer in the world right now?
It's very clear that recently he has had every shot in the bag. But all those shots that he's converting on, he's throwing away with small mental miscues and big misses and just mistakes that are costing him 2-3 shots every round. And that's where the negative predictions come into play.
Let's go back to 16T at API on Thursday. Had a really good round going. You're playing the easiest hole on the golf course and you blast one out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's an easy birdie hole that's now turned into a 6, and now that's 2 shots. Yeah. I mean, it adds up. And
only person that blasted it out of bounds, by the way.
Exactly. Like, he alluded to it on Sunday when I think he was talking to Rex Hoggard or whoever it was at Golf Channel. Like, you just can't do that stuff. And this week in particular, I mean, there's water on like every single hole. You can't afford to get wild off the tee. I know we'll get into our triple double picks later that I haven't even made mine yet because I've been busy. I'll probably get them done after we get offline here. But the number one thing I'm going to be looking for is driving accuracy, which he's had. But the big miss with him as of late has just been way, way, way too big. And I'm afraid it's going to, rear its, ugly head this year. I remember last year, he blasted one to the plants right of, was it 14 or 15 last year? Had to take an unplayable. So not only is there water, you got plants that he found last year. So
Jordan finds the weirdest spots on golf courses.
Yeah, exactly.
There's why they built spots here. Yeah, that's why they made Tourcast like with all that advanced technology so that they could cover every piece of property that Spieth could hit a ball onto. I mean, look, he was bad last week. And then he plotted his way to a Sunday 69 and vaulted himself up the leaderboard on Sunday in conditions that are that were difficult, right? I mean, Scotty shot the round of the day in the final group. And at the end of the day, my whole Spieth wins premise comes down to the fact that Scotty Scheffler forgets how to putt again or gets gusted times on 17, which we know is not going to happen. And it seems like he got the better draw anyway. Because if Scheffler plays, frankly, his A- game, his B+ game, I think he wins, kind of running away, and I
Yeah.
don't think it's that close. He's on a tear that's like all time great,
Mhm.
um, and
Yeah.
it's quite impressive.
Yeah. Two good takes from the chat. Both by the sober fisherman. He says that um while we these names are fantastic. He
Yeah.
says while he agrees with me, but at the same time, he missed the cut at the Masters and then won the RBC, which he didn't think fit Spieth's game. And I actually do agree. At the time, I don't think Heritage fits his game at all. I think recently his strengths have kind of flipped in recent years, to where I actually do think Hilton Head is a course where he can win at again. But I mean, he lost the playoff last year. So, but also that he's just been a momentum disaster, which I do agree with as well. He's every time he's playing well, he lets his first mistake compound for the rest of the round, which is killer on the tour when you have people like Scotty Scheffler who respond to a bogey with making a 25 footer after a good break. Like the momentum is just like it couldn't be any more polar opposite.
Yeah. No, it's a fair example, I guess, using RBC after the Masters. But I
Yeah.
mean, even still, I mean, he's played Heritage 7 times. He's played well there 5 of the 7. Should we look at the Sawgrass history? Like, I mean, he's played well historically at Heritage. We're not saying he's going to play terrible this week. I mean, all I personally said is I just don't see him winning, with what his current flaws are. He could play well. I know Bob kind of said a T35. You're not sounding the horn. I'd kind of want better than a T35. I mean, if you're going to tell me he's going to T35 this week, that means this 3 week Florida stretch, you're really having 2 tournaments that are pretty darn crappy, and you're banking on Valspar,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't, something you really want to do. Um, I would, uh, I'd like to see. I guess I haven't really, banged on this drum as much as you probably have, Bob, but he very frequently will get to a number, and you kind of allude to this, and he doesn't get above that number and he finishes below the number.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that'd be nice. It'll be interesting to see how the course is going to play. I know we've kind of mentioned, I don't know if you guys mentioned it a little bit, it's apparently softer.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy it's going to play though, honestly. Just looking at some of the past numbers that I'm kind of seeing, it's played over par the last 3 years. I don't know if it'll play over par this year, but if it's going to play over par, that's really you're just trying to shoot 3, 4 under every day. Um, just
Yeah.
take advantage of the par fives. It's kind of like Augusta if it plays the way it's been
It
playing
is.
the last 3 years. Just birdie
I
the par
mean,
fives and
yeah,
yeah,
the every par five here is reachable. But well, I guess nine depends, but two is an iron, with the right wind, and 16 and 11 are both also reachable. So the only problem is you need to avoid on 11 and 16 making that big number, right? Um, two needs to be played in 3, 4 under easily. I'm saying you almost kind of got to look at you almost have to look at the front nine par fives and the back nine par fives differently, right? Like I'd be pretty happy if in total he plays the front nine par fives 5 under for the week, and then the back nine par fives like 6. He does that. I really don't think he needs to play the rest of the course more than 4 or 5 under, to win, if that. So,
that's how
I
you
mean,
play hard golf courses. I mean, you take
yeah,
advantage of the fives, and if you're playing the threes and fours around even, you're top tenning at the minimum every single
yeah,
week.
exactly.
The one
I have to get my chart.
thing that I think will be interesting, kind of in terms of how hard it plays, is they cut the rough a little bit today, but the report is
Soft.
that it's been thick and tough to play out of all week. And so fairways are going to be pivotal. Talk about the par five still being able to scramble for birdies, but there's some challenging par fours on this golf course. And if you hit the tee ball in the rough, it almost feels like, based on what we've heard, and we'll have to see how it plays out, but that could be a half shot penalty. Um, And so in that sense, it's going to be important that the wedges inside of 60 yards are dialed in and ready to go because
Yeah.
you're going to have to say there's going to be a hack out or two this week because you can't hit every fairway, right? And
Right.
if you
And
miss it by a couple yards, you might just get a draw a bad lie unless you're Scheffler. But in for everybody else, they're gonna have to hack out a couple times and try and save a score. And so it's nice. I think I have a little bit of confidence that the putter will save a few scores. But to your point about like meeting a score and then exceeding a score, last
yeah.
week at API was a perfect example because he got to 3 under through six and then went back down to even and then got back to 3 under through six and then got to five and then went back down to one and then obviously kind of bottomed out before getting back to one over. But point is like Spieth got to 5 under at one point last week and didn't even come close to it the rest of the week. Didn't even come close
Yep.
to getting above that number. And that kind of momentum uh is needed has to be
Correct.
maintained at tournaments like this,
Yeah.
especially.
Agree. Like, honestly, the way he reads these greens, he's going to miss a few short putts this week that are gonna like try and halt the momentum, right? He's just got to find a way to make like he can't miss a 5 footer and then go bogey the next hole. Because then in a sense that's losing 2 shots. So he's got to there are going to be putts that are missed this week. He can't compound those errors. That's been the problem. He's playing, not only is he playing wrong shots, he's letting those wrong shots affect the next one. So yeah, I think that I don't really know how tough it's gonna play. As Dan said, it if the rough could be a half shot penalty this week, that just needs to be moved on with. Like the entire field is going to hit it in the rough this week. So you just got to try and keep in the fairway as much as you can and take your medicine when you miss it. So and that's what scares me about this week is that there's going to be a lot of plotting needed, and he hasn't been plotting well recently at all.
It's well said.
Yeah,
Very well said.
It's a plot golf course. It's I know
is.
Waters golf course.
yeah, I mean we obviously crap on it. Give the players some hate, but it's a good test, man. I mean, you got to strike the ball well around here. It's never
You
really a
do.
putting. It's never a putting contest unless you're Cam Smith. You make everything.
Yeah,
Based on the research I've done, you gotta, I mean, tee to green. Very similar to API. Maybe not,
yeah.
as difficult, but it's kind of a similar golf course from what I found. Which is weird. You think it's similar to API. Spieth played well at API, but he struggled here. But maybe as Dan's alluded to, a
I think
blind
the
squirrel will fly at
grass.
night.
I think the grass types are different, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. Grass types.
Yeah.
I saw this on Twitter, and I hate that I don't have it in front of me to give the person credit, but since the
Or
since it moved to March, a good course comp has been the Century. Kapalua has been a decent course comp. Cam Smith won in 22 and then won the Players.
yeah.
Scheffler was he top 10 last year and then won the Players. Thomas the same thing when he won the Players. Rory the same thing when he won the Players. And I mean, I know a guy who finished solo third at the Century and
Is it
is
Chris
looking
Kirk's
for.
week?
It could be a Chris Kirk week. I was also thinking it could be a Sahith Thagala week. But so it's an interesting course comp because
Well, Thigala and Spieth are very similar. They play well at similar courses, by the way.
true.
They're super similar.
And so I'll curious to see kind of how that Century players overlap continues because it is easy to forget that this tournament used to be played in May for a while and not that long ago. 2018, right? Was
Yeah.
May tournament. And I think it's quite a different tournament now in terms
18 was
of
the last time it was played
the
in.
scoring. That's what I think.
Yeah, 18. So okay. So 17 it played super tough, and then 18 it played pretty easy.
Okay.
Interesting.
So We'll see. And it's interesting. The course history here is fascinating because you look at a guy, I guess even Spieth, miscut through the three best years of his career.
Yeah.
And then a T4 in 2014 and a T19 last year. But you've also got like I think Scheffler T55 in his first appearance and then one last year. So it really truly is just how well um in theory how well you're striking
Striking.
your golf ball. But even then you can still get some variance in that, which is kind of crazy and fun, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Like John Hasselbauer at PGA Towel on Twitter.
Mhm.
He has a comparison to Sony as well, by the way, which he also had I think it was him. He also had a comparison of Sony and Century. There's been like overlap with both Century and Sony, and then now there's also overlap with Sony and players. Um, so that's an interesting like little.
It is. It's weird.
I met someone today who was at Sony this year. That's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I was getting
yeah.
Well,
pizza.
Sony
And
actually you get in from what I understand because my twin lives in Hawaii. They often give out tickets for free. By the
yeah, I mean they're from Maryland. I got my Claret jug hat on. And they're like, "You've been the Open?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, I was in Oahu at the Sony this year." I'm
Yeah,
like,
he was at the Open too, the Sony
pretty
Open.
darn cool. Yeah, exactly.
That's sweet.
There's a lot of opens in golf.
There are. Excellent point.
Yeah, I
Maybe they
agree.
should call it the Ranch Open.
Ranch. That'd be something.
Although I'm not sure that it's actually open to everybody. You got to be one of
Yeah,
the best to go play
exactly. It should be a
TPC
signature
Frame
event
Ranch.
in the near
It
future.
should be. It will be. I have faith, although not in Monahan. Did you guys listen to his press conference?
no,
I saw obviously some of the things that he said. I left some replies on my Twitter page in terms of some of the comments that he made, but
Fair enough.
clearly not the man for the job.
No,
Clearly
he's not. And he looks disheveled and distressed. Like he looks like a man who is confused and tired and
Yeah,
not confident in himself at all.
for sure.
And it would be nice to see somebody really take charge of what the tour is trying to do here. Because Wyndham Clark made some comments last week about shrinking the tour and whatnot, and it seems like the tour itself is a mess.
well,
Um,
Rory made the same comments. Wyndham Clark was actually asked about Rory's comments.
Interesting. Okay. Well, see, I just don't like the idea of shrinking the tour. The whole
I don't either. Let
what
me be
I am
very clear. I don't
excited
either.
about this week is that there's 144 players.
Yes.
That's fun. And there's a cut, and it's like you have to beat half the players to at least to make the cut. To me, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's way better than the 60 some man field that then gets cut 10 players.
69. And poor Nick Dunlop had to play by himself. Like, why you could just add one more person, right?
Right.
That's also bizarre.
Yeah, that is stupid.
I get making a certain event's signature, and maybe you have 100 players for those events. But I like big fields, and I like the storylines that could come from it, and so that's kind of also why I'm excited because somebody random's gonna have an ace on 17 Thursday morning. That's just how it's gonna go. Like I would take that to the bank right now. They've got that pin up front. It's soft. It's not gonna be that windy, and there's gonna be just somebody who's
And Silverman.
sure.
Just
Ben
throwing that out
Silverman
there.
is gonna make an ace on 17 tomorrow morning. Like that's awesome, and that's kind of um I don't know. I like seeing that, and I think that should be the tour's identity. And it's funny because Live created all the drama, but I feel like there's not a lot of drama within Live. It's very just like this is what we are and this is what we do. And now the
Right.
tour is like all over the place, and their leader is like disheveled and not sure what he's doing. And you've got guys at different levels of the tour saying different things about what they want the tour to be, and I think the fans are somewhat united in what they want the tour to be.
Yeah,
But it's just kind of a mess, and it bothers me a little bit. And this is supposed to be their flagship event, and the fact that it's it's just kind of a reminder of how disorganized the tour is at the moment.
that's
Until
fair.
Spieth triumphs on Sunday, and then everything falls into place, right? But
The happy world of Spieth triumphs.
it is. It's
Yeah.
never not a happy world. The Spieth
It's
triumph.
funny though too, because if Spieth does win, like a lot of the golf media that's like complaining, like, oh, the fans aren't happy, they're not listening, like they shut up. Like there's so many people on like Twitter that are just upset because the big names aren't winning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like
but
I was listening to live from and they're complaining about the same thing. Like the big names are struggling. Like you guys wouldn't be complaining about the product as much if Spieth was sweeping, events left and right.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, we could probably go on about the tour for I've made my opinions basically loud and clear, whether it be on Twitter or on here. So I don't really need to restate mine. But I do agree with your points. It is my main thing to say that is I don't agree with Rory or Wyndham. I think as much as it stinks having no big names win through March, it also would stink not having those cool stories. So I think those cool stories are part of the game. It's what makes golf great. I you don't see that in other sports as well as much. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, to get back to Spieth before we get Elise's take on the rest of the field. Someone in the chat said that this week they're going to be required layups and trust between him and Greller are going to be key, and that is a point I wanted to bring up. Jordan and from the viewer's side, Jordan and Greller have definitely seemed a little bit unclicking, whether that be I'm pretty sure it's because both of them are making mistakes 50-50. I don't think Greller's the problem by any means. But trust is a big thing when there are a lot of decisions to be made, like whether you have to either go for the hero shot or not. And we've talked about how maybe Greller doesn't do enough of the like, okay, putting his foot down, because we obviously know Jordan likes to take a lot of risks, and that is the player he is. He likes to fire at a lot of pins. So yeah, it's I think that that will be a key factor this week. I think there are going to need to be decisions that they make together that are trusted and they each both are on board with. Because I think part of the reason Jordan has hit some bad shots recently is because he's uncommitted. He's been uncommitted in a lot of swings, and when you're in the rough, the contact needs to be perfect if you're going to go for those hero shots. So, the swings need to be committed. Bailouts will kill you here because the bailout spots at this course are very tight fairway lies that they do on purpose to make it look like it's not a bad miss, but actually does provide a pretty challenging next shot. So avoiding bailouts and committing to shots is going to be a huge factor in how Spieth ends up score wise this week.
It'd be nice if Spieth would, do his job a little bit better too, hit the center of the
Yeah,
club face a little bit more.
for sure, for sure.
Don't think I'm asking too much there, but you don't see, Ted Scott and Scotty Scheffler, bickering, complaining back and forth too much because Scotty hits the center of the club face. So, yeah, but no, I don't think. I don't know. I've kind of went back and forth on, when to blame Greller, when to not blame Greller, but like what I've been seeing lately is not Greller, I don't think. It's Spieth, with the wedge in the fairway, blocking it right into a bunker at the Arnold Palmer. It's Spieth landing it short and spinning it off the front of the green. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
exactly.
you see the results happening, dude. How about you pull the club and you get the right number? Not that it's not Greller's job, but Spieth sees the results. If he's pissed, then he can do something about it.
Yeah, and I also don't agree with the fact that every single time, like it is a part where maybe that's just how he operates, right? Like maybe Spieth is always his entire life in the moment because he takes responsibility for everything he does usually after the round. But in the moment, there's a lot of times where he blames a lot of other factors for shots that he hits poorly. Maybe that's just a mental thing. Maybe in the moment, um, he doesn't like to crap on himself, but you know, the shots do need to be better at points, and sometimes it's not the win, sometimes it's not the distance, you know. So we'll see. But my main point in agreeing with him there is that I think that there needs to be a lot of commitment. And whether it's Greller telling Spieth to do something he doesn't want to do, or Spieth doing something that Greller doesn't want him to do, there's going to be a lack of commitment in those swings.
Agreed. And it'd be nice to start getting on the same page as we had to
Yeah.
Augusta National, because we saw how many mistakes were made there on Thursday. And how kind of sloppy it was, and how
that's been the
costly
case
that
for
is.
years.
Yeah, and he makes enough birdies to win tournaments. There's more.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
plenty of good shots in the bag to win a golf tournament, and a few extra, right, to bail out when
Right.
there's a couple mistakes in there. But there's also a gajillion mistakes in the bag that are just lurking at every turn. And it's part of the roller coaster. It's part of the experience. It's part of the addiction, I might say. So, um, here's to an uneventful week, but at the same time,
It will not
that
be
just
uneventful,
is
Dan.
that's just not ever going to happen. I think the most uneventful part is him just standing on the first tee, because after
Right.
that,
Yeah, exactly.
it's all over the place. So, but
Yeah, for sure.
it is the Spieth Greller stuff is interesting, because I never
It is.
put blame on Greller. Um, but I do wonder if he was a little bit sterner and said, "You cannot do that. Tell me what your target is." Like,
Yeah.
I wonder how that would go, but I just don't think he can, and he still ends up with some decent paydays. So I don't think he's too upset. So,
Yeah.
um,
And at the end of the day, I see the chat is very much in agreement with the fact that Jordan just doesn't listen to him at all. Um,
yeah, I think it's like
and that could
double
be the
check my
part. I mean, at
number.
this point, at this point, Greller also has to look at it as like limiting damage. Like if he knows Spieth isn't going to listen to him, why tell him that he disagrees? Because that will just make him commit even less. So maybe that's a factor. From our perspective, it's all speculation. Like,
Right.
we really don't know what goes on between them. Because personally, I don't think there's any bad blood in that relationship at all. It seems like they're still very close, and I don't think they're growing apart by any means. But professionally, there is a lot of people who think that there's stuff there that probably isn't in the best interest for either of them. So we'll see. But committed swings are a key at a golf course like this. So especially with how tight the fairways are and how punishing the rough is. So
Makes you makes you wonder a little bit if I can't even, I don't even want to throw it out there, but now that I've started, I guess I have to. Like, what would an off-season parting of ways look like?
well, we talked about this during the slump.
Of
That
course.
was thrown
And
out
now that
there.
he's playing mid golf, or he's playing good golf, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's Greller's fault by any means, but I think maybe both parties would benefit potentially from a split. But at the same time, like, I am all for Greller needs another jacket. He needs a jug. He needs a Mr. Wanamaker, and he's not getting another what do they call the US Open trophy?
I know it's the Jack Nicklaus medal.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
just I just call it the U.S. Open trophy.
Okay, he's
Yeah,
not going to get
I
another
don't
one of
know.
those, but we need to get Mr. Greller drinking out of a jug again.
We do,
or
we do.
donning a jacket of some kind. So,
Well, yes, exactly, and I think that we all know Greller, given just his build and his stature, we know that man likes to dabble in a beer here and there. So I'm sure he would love that as well, especially coming out of something like the claret jug.
yeah.
So would love to see that happen over the summer. But again,
Yeah.
I
Or
mean,
even
we've seen Spieth make some stupid numbers at Augusta and still finish T3. So
yeah.
for years he's been right on the doorstep. But we'll see. I think it would be almost I feel like if you had to put an odds on Spieth to win either an Open or Masters the rest of his career, that number is probably favored based on the way he's played his entire career.
I don't know.
But
He just doesn't win that much anymore. Greller just needs a first place paycheck one of these
yeah, but
days.
he still plays those tournaments so well, even in the depths of his.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You would think
I
he
mean,
would get
I at
there.
this point
But he
I've
also has
ruled
4 already. So
at this point I've just thrown out all hope at a U.S. Open again.
Yep.
So
Pinehurst.
never know.
Saying.
Maybe some good luck could be brought.
Just saying. Or when
But
they go to Shinnecock.
I'll definitely beat the cock.
He has no chance of Shinnecock.
They call it Shinnespieth for a reason, no?
I don't think they call it that as he shot like 80, but
By the way, the U.S. Open trophy has never been named, so that's why we don't know the name for it.
well, I mean, I feel like we
It
would
doesn't have a
know.
name. It doesn't have a name.
Yeah, I feel like if it did have a name, we would probably know. I mean, us
Right.
four watch.
That's why it's a fun
just
fact that
honestly
it
is
doesn't have a
sickening.
name.
Yeah, we
Why
watch
don't
a
they call it the
sickening
We
amount of
Met?
golf. Well, isn't that the name of the amateur trophy?
Maybe. I don't
I think
know.
that's the name of the U.S. amateur trophy.
Okay. Well, then call it the Mickelson. That'd be funny.
And go phone Mike Wan to tell him to name the trophy.
I don't think I can foresee, as of now, Mickelson getting his name on any trophies in the future.
No,
We'll
that's why you
see.
call it the Mickelson, so you can hand it out to I don't know. Whatever. We should move on to Elise's
Yeah, I want to know your picks because through the first quarter of the season, I've basically just been leaning on your cards for my triple double plays. So I appreciate that.
cheater. Sort of.
We gave you access to our chat so that you could see all the plays. You still
Agreed.
can.
Yep.
Agreed. I just
Yep.
think it's merchant.
What are the standings?
Hey, I'll still be picking Charlie Hoffman at the Valero. I'll
Yeah.
still be taking
Wait,
what
at
was
least
the
you
other
can't
one?
take kids at match play anymore.
Yeah.
I'll be
But
taking
also-
him with the Travelers.
So Bob's up a couple $100,000. I'm right behind, and then Jordan is a little bit behind that. It's still pretty tight. Bob and I just separated a little bit because Will Zalatoris last week was a nice play.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I already have one of my picks that I knew I was gonna take.
I have all 3 of mine.
Yeah, I basically have all 3 of mine.
But
I have
Elyse, what are your? I saw your cards out on Twitter, obviously. But what'd you look for, and then who'd you kind of decide on?
I looked for ball strikers first and foremost. And in form. I ignored course history. Like Xander has terrible course history if you look at it. It was more all about who's actually playing well and who can actually who can actually win. I've been paying attention a lot this season to who can actually win, and who I think can actually win because like last fall I was just picking Eric Cole a lot, and yes, Eric Cole's he's good, but is he actually going to win a golf tournament? The answer is probably not. Same with
Young.
Cameron Young. Looks better on paper, but is Cameron Young actually going to win a golf tournament? Probably not. So for instance, with Waste Management, I landed on Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor has actually won. He's not just a long shot that hasn't won anything. So that was part of it of why I landed on him. So those are the main things I'm looking for. It's people that are just ball striking the hell out of it, and people that can actually win. Because for example, Russell Henley is striking the ball out of it, but can Russell Henley actually win? And I think a lot of people on Twitter feel the same way because he's not one of the more tipped players, which is surprising. Because Henley has let people down so many times.
Yeah.
Same thing with Eric Cole. Is he going to play good on this golf course? I can trust him for a T40, T20. Is he actually going to win?
definitely not.
Probably not. Yeah, I would bet no.
Yep. Eric Cole is also a disease.
Him and Scam Young are a disease, yes.
Well. At least Scam. We just at least Scam. We've like had the vaccination for. At least we've learned our troubles. Oh man,
I try to warn
there's
people.
some players that just don't win, man. They just don't win.
I agree. Yep.
Like
Like
even when they're in their best form, they just can't get over the hump.
Fleetwood. Fleetwood wins on DP World Tour a lot. Just when it comes to the PGA Tour, does he win? Nope.
Very true.
Lowry. Does Lowry win? Nope.
He will this week, maybe.
Yeah, but you can't really say Lowry doesn't
He's
win when
numb.
he's got a major. So I wouldn't put
one
I wouldn't
major.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put Lowry in the Wyndham Clark major champions category either, though. Like I wouldn't put him in like the same category as people who only have 2, 3 other wins. Because he's won a lot on the DP tour as well. I wouldn't say Lowry's not a winner. He just has not been able to get over the hump recently, like Spieth, some would say.
Lowry's my sneaky pick this week.
I do like Lowry this week.
He's playing well. A couple top fives the past 2 weeks and flushing the golf ball. And he's one of the leaders in driving accuracy on the tour, which is going to be good this year. And he was good in 22 here when it was really wet as well. So spoiled one of my picks, but I like Shane Lowry this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like me and you have a similar take on one of these players, which is Mr. Scheffler, and that's that's just because I think that like at this point in time, like if Scheffler plays his B game, I think he could win this tournament. Like if he can roll in some putts, I mean, he is so far and away the best player on tour right now. I think it's not even close. So I think that to not take him in a purse like this, in a field like this, would be especially with how unpredictable this tournament is. I feel like it's almost a layup that this is the perfect one and done play, one and done time to use Scottie Scheffler. So like I don't really see a tournament where using Scottie Scheffler is going to be an advantage like it is this week. So
it's also the biggest purse.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The greens like even kind of things out in terms of putting. Like it's not really difficult putting like course. So bad putters can do well here. Which obviously Scheffler is a bad putter.
True that.
Let's see how the mallet turns around.
Putter though.
I mean, like JT's one here. JT's a horrible putter.
Justin Thomas.
Siwoo Kim's one here. Siwoo Kim's an awful putter, by the way. He was like first in approach last week and dead last in putting.
I've crossed Thomas off the list for this week.
I saw some people that bet Thomas, and I'm like, you got to be crazy with the thick rough driving accuracy being pivotal this week. That's ridiculous.
Everyone is on Thomas. Everyone.
He's not winning. He's just not. So you have Xander on your card.
Yep.
There's a lot of good names on the card. Nick Taylor, Ekroat. But then these next three I think are really interesting. Will Z, Windy C, Wyndham Clark, and Sam Burns.
Yep.
Can you how'd you end up at Burns and Clark specifically? Zalatoris, I think, makes a ton of sense.
Can I say one thing about Clark? And I think Elyse will agree with me. I think it's just that the number is absolutely absurd. Like, I just think 50-1 is kind of crazy. I mean, he's won a big event before. He's playing well, and it's a ball striker's golf course. I think that's because didn't Ryan point that out? And you were like, well, this is ridiculous.
Well, because he was tied with Scam in the odds. It was like 50-1. Like hilariously bad. So yeah, that was part of it, and just he's just been playing well. He had been fading him like earlier this season because if you had looked at his numbers, he was actually kind of trending downwards after his big year last year, but it seems to have like corrected itself now, and he's picking things back up. Sam Burns is actually playing super well. And I had overlooked him the first couple of weeks this season, but I'm not doing that anymore. He's just playing like too well if you look at his numbers. So that's why I landed on Sam Burns. And then I got a boost, so that made it even an easier decision. Um,
Yeah, it's fair.
But
I see you say in your comments that Spieth is there in between the lines. Did you place? Because let me just say, if you didn't, there's a stat that I need to bring up. But if you did, I won't bring it up.
I always play Spieth even if I don't give him out. I'll tell you that.
Okay. I think maybe we should even think about cashing that out because there is there's it the last time we as a group did not play Spieth was the RBC 2 years ago. We had to live him. Do you remember that?
Uh, I
We
think
had
yes,
Yeah, we
yes.
had to live him at like what was it? Because but he didn't even play that well in the first round. He was like 3 under, but he was like 12-1, and we all like were like, okay, well now we have to be on him, and then he won. So maybe the key is that we're the curse, and then once we start laying off Spieth, he'll win again.
I think it's just a lack of good quality golf being played.
Yeah, I think the disease is taking over, and I'm looking for alternative reasons as to why we're not winning.
Superstitious reasons.
Yeah, I am. Well, all of my followers are also superstitious. I mean, the person tracking gets their head called for when he's playing poorly.
speaking of, who's on? Are you on deck for tomorrow morning?
It tomorrow morning is my yeah, I have a class at 7:30. So
Oh,
may
that
have to,
works out
but
Good.
pretty
it's
well
it
for you.
it's not that bad. I doubt I'll have to stop tracking, but maybe just for a few minutes. But yeah, tomorrow is my day. Tomorrow is on me. Friday probably also me. I have a tournament Saturday. Uh, so I need to get some practice in, but since it's a West Coast, like I mean, he tees off at what, like 10 o'clock on my time on. So I
Friday.
still
Yeah.
I still should be able to get to the range after.
You're assuming he
Sat
makes the cut.
Yeah. So if he does make the cut and barring no weather delays,
Well, he'll be.
it probably will be Ryan on Saturday because I Ryan does have the edge on Nick currently, in both average and strokes gained. So at such a big event like the Players, surely we have to go with who's performing
Bring
best
out the
in the
big
current
guns.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then Sunday, I don't know. I haven't really looked that far ahead in the schedule yet. So I have a tea time on Sunday, but I that will be canceled if Mr. Spieth is within any shots of the lead.
Well, you might as well cancel it now because he will be. So
Honestly, maybe.
I wouldn't cancel it now.
And is
But
coming out with some bold takes.
I think you will be canceling it. So
Well, that's good to hear. It's good
yeah,
to hear.
I just don't know if he's honestly. I just don't know if he has enough not bad in the tank. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
If
and
he's
then
got
that's
it,
exactly where I'm.
Bogey avoidance.
but I think he's got enough good in the tank to be in it through a good chunk of this tournament. I mean, it's the one they all want most, you know?
Fair.
It's the one
Fair
they all
enough.
want most. Xander
Yeah,
would agree.
and the sober fisherman did bring up a good. I don't even know who the sober
I
fisherman
love
is.
these names,
It's
by the way.
definitely someone on Twitter that I know. I just like can't tell based on the sober fisherman name, but
And it's one
Guess
guy.
who's first
maybe
in bogey avoidance, by the way? Won't
what?
surprise you at all. Guess who's first in bogey avoidance?
It's
Won't surprise
Spieth.
you at all.
No.
Who?
Scotty.
Yeah, that makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
I
That's
think
why he wins tournaments.
Spieth was like top 3 until last week.
Yeah, that's the thing though with Scotty though. I mean, when like his striking is so good that a bad shot for him with
He
like
went down
a
10.
5 iron is like
last
40 feet.
He was
Yeah.
third. He went down to 10, to 13th. He went down 10 spots last
Oh,
week.
it's Mr. Farmer. It's Mr. Farmer. The silver fisherman is Mr. Farmer, which is great to hear. But yeah,
Phenomenal.
I do kind of want to I want to get stocks in for a round. We got to get Farmer back in. We got to switch it up maybe. Maybe if the week isn't going well on Sunday, we get a fourth string in there, and I mean, Stocks hasn't tracked in a while. Stocks used to get the followers going.
I
When
I mean, I
He
tracked
also
3
caused
holes
some
when he won.
controversy though as well.
he definitely did. He definitely did. Stocks was not family friendly at all, but neither was Ryan, and Ryan changed. So, um, yeah, we'll see. But yes, Farmer, you will get your chance at glory again. I will promise you that.
I'd like to do another one too, but it has to be during a work, like during a Thursday or
Absolutely,
Friday round.
for sure. Oh yeah, it's been a while since you have, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get you back on for sure. But yeah, I don't know how much the tracking this week is going to change the game, but if Spieth does play well, I'll take all the credit. So I guess it's a one-way street. If he plays well, I'll
Yeah.
take the credit. If he doesn't, it's the course history. So there you go.
Right. Seems fair.
Expected.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Very.
But
Um,
do you have the rest of your picks, Bob?
Yes, I do.
Scheffler.
I'm going with two from the card, Shoffley and Burns. I'm
Scheffler.
pretty confident in Burns like top 10ing this week.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I foresee him. He could easily make a quad on the
yeah,
one of the
I
last
could
3
see him being
holes.
10 over through 25 holes for sure. But
That's kind of
yeah.
his
What's
shtick.
the matchup we have on him, Elyse? Burns over who?
Fleetwood.
Oh, I like
Ooh.
that a lot. That needs to be a multi-unit play for sure. Yeah.
Is Tommy Ladd not playing well?
Well, Tommy
It was a
Ladd.
dreadful week for him
I know
last
he
week.
blew
No,
up
he's
at
not been playing well. Tommy Ladd has not
No.
been playing well.
the
No, not
half
at
and
all.
half event, but
Guess Xander's third in bogey avoidance, by the way. So he's
Xander.
Scotty, Noren, Xander, Ben Silverman, Andrew Putnam.
And you said Spieth's 13th.
Yes.
Another reason for triumph.
Really, 13th.
I mean, he was surprisingly high on some people's, like, people I trust on Twitter as models. Spencer, Tee Off Sports, love Spencer. He was third in Spencer's model. So
Well, let me just say,
His first
I
one.
that's another
believe-
reason, Dan.
I believe I've woken up before 5:30 for a round like 4 times, and the track record is fantastic. So I will put that out there.
That's for all opens, though, right?
Well, Scottish Open was one of them.
Okay.
Well, actually, he was 4 under on the front 9 and then pooped his pants. But yeah, hey, the stats are the stats. I'm just trying to push the agenda in our direction. That's how we do it here. So I'm just pulling up stats that are convenient for the
That's how the stats
For
are
the
spoken.
cause.
You can manipulate stats any way you want.
exactly, and that's how we love to do it here. That's how we love to do it here. We love to manipulate the stats. But yeah. Do we have anything else? No, I need to figure out where I'm going for dinner. I still have no clue. I'm like very hungry, and but I want to get to bed early also, so I can't like fill myself and then feel like crap. But
I guess I could drop my final triple
Please
double
do.
play.
please do.
Playing Mr. Thigala.
Okay.
This is
I
a
like
bold play because he
That
could
is
very
bold.
easily cash
That
$0.
is both.
Yeah,
But
and I thought about him this week just because I think
played
I've already
pretty well
played him
API.
once. Yeah, I think I've already played him once, and I really don't see myself playing him again this year. So I thought about him, but then I was like, well, Scotty's gonna probably win by 7. So
Just play. I mean, play Thigala anywhere you are like feel strong, or anywhere
What are
Speed has good
Scotty's-
course history.
what are Scotty's odds this week, Elise?
Oh, 5-1, I think.
Oh, if they were like 7.5, I probably was going to take. 5 is too low though.
yeah,
Well,
did you think
Is
about
it
a single
is it
bullet?
too low?
Is it?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
You know what is too low was the 8.5 that we got on him
yeah, to win the Masters,
Um,
that was very
for the
good. Yeah.
Masters. That was, and then it immediately went to 6-1.
Yeah. The only thing about 5-1 that I find it hard to believe is that
Yeah,
I just feel like
550.
if they play this tournament 5 times, he wins at least once. I feel like there's a better chance he wins 2 than once.
550 to 1.
Yeah, I
Or
feel like
5.5 to 1, sorry.
yeah, I feel like that might not even be that bad, but I don't know. I mean, how could we justify, with the card that you already have? Just because I feel like this course is definitely a course that it makes sense to play players like Taylor, Burns. So I just
Spieth moved to 40 to 1.
Hammer.
Value Town. Value
Telling you.
Town. If you want to
Patrick is
get
75
rich
to 1.
quick
That's
scheme,
crazy. Well, I guess
Get
it's not that
rich
crazy.
quick scheme.
Something like what, like crap, but that's still. But
if you find $20 lying around your couch, you know where to put it. Could turn
Yeah.
that into 800 very quickly.
But don't at me though if he doesn't win.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're not financially responsible for the money that I'm sure most listeners are putting on speed.
Yeah. Wait, it'll drop to 35 in a second because they'll get too much money on it.
You want to know what I'd love to know? I'd love to know the number on between us and all of our followers. What is the total amount of net on bets that involve Spieth?
Billions.
I feel like it's got to be just a colossal amount.
mm.
Yeah, I just
Probably a good chunk of change.
yeah. I mean, because they never make him bettable for top like 15 at the Masters. He's always like basically even money to top 10. So he's never really even bettable in that, right? So yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad.
Yeah. Well, we should wrap it up.
We should. It's been
This has been fun.
it's been fantastic. Some good substance this week. Yes, we do have a disease, Nacho Man. Very much agreed. Followers showed up today. We had a consistent viewing, a good amount of views. So we appreciate you guys sticking around. Usually, we like to keep these under an hour, but this was a pretty long one, and you guys stuck around, so we appreciate that. Our number actually is like peaking right now. So unlike Spieth in the middle of a round, we were able to get it to get it to the clubhouse. So, looking
Go us.
looking to I'm just looking for a 34 on the front nine tomorrow. That's not much to ask. Literally make a birdie. He's gonna par 9. I know that. Just make a birdie and birdie 2 and move on. That's what I'm asking. I don't think that's too much to ask. I know Jordan asked that as well. I don't want a 38 as the clock
starting on
strikes
the back
7.
though.
Yeah. Oh, is he? I think that's
Yeah.
even more reasonable, probably. I think the par 5s are more gettable, and if you play smart,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
he
the
could
back 9
easily-
is probably more gettable if you're playing smart.
Yeah. He could
Yeah,
go
I go
out
back
in
to
31 or he could go out in 38. There's
Yeah,
not
I guess there's a bigger dispersion there.
all of those things are very much possible. So
Well, it's
see.
Spieth, so really anything's possible.
But we're gonna be up for it because well, what else would you do with your life,
Well,
you know?
well, I mean, again, it's the disease, but we live with it. We've learned to live with it. So yeah, I think that's all we have for you today. As always, thank you to Elyse. You can follow her in the description below as well as our socials are in there as well. We will be back for a preview. We're trying to make these 2 episode a week things more regular as we're going back to back weeks as we get back into the swing of the heart of the season. So thank you. We'll be back with 2 episodes next week as we head to Copperhead. So excited for that.
It'll be a
week
live
that
Sunday recap actually.
well, yeah. That's
Once he
true.
wins.
After the tee times canceled and everything. Yeah, it'll be a good Sunday. So thank you all for tuning in, sticking around, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Take care.
Peace.